From blueprints to bliss, let's get popping with another episode of Plantco Playbook. Alright y'all, today we're saddling up and riding back into the dusty frontier of Everhard Kingdom, our western area. You've seen the mine train rumble through this corner of the park before, but Winslow wasn't content with just a coaster. He wanted to build a whole bustling little town sprung up around it, and so here we are. And we're going to work on this area that you may have seen before, where we're going to add a quick serve grub spot, a souvenir shop stacked with trinkets, a balloon stand and umbrellas for the sun-baked cowpokes, and yes, even a restroom, because let's face it, every outlaw's gotta take a pit stop sometime. Now, here's where Winslow's imagination turned into pure comedy gold. He once pitched that instead of a restroom, we should build an old-timey outhouse saloon, complete with swinging doors, sawdust floors, and, get this, a piano player who'd start up a tune whenever somebody walked in. I told him, Winslow, no one ever wants their bathroom break accompanied by out-of-tune piano playing. So he just grinned and said, well, maybe they should. But beyond jokes, Winslow was always fascinated by one particular part of the design process: color. He watched me sketch out palettes for the western area and say, why brown? Why yellow? Why green? They're just colors, aren't they? And that's when I'd explain color theory to him. How those warm earth tones blend with red rocks of the cliffs nearby, and how deep browns and rustic greens feel rooted in nature, and how soft yellows catch the sun just right to give the whole town a golden, welcoming glow. And as you can see, we're changing some of those colors here from our initial color palette to bring that to life. Now together, these shades don't just paint the Old West, they feel like the Old West. They settle into the landscape, make the wood bridge nearby feel authentic, and they invite guests into a space that's both rugged and comforting at the same time. Now, Winslow never got tired of hearing about it. He'd scratch his chin, nod slowly, and then usually say something like, so no neon pink then? Well, here's the kicker. Winslow once decided to test that theory, and he showed up one morning with buckets of bright purple and teal paint. He slathered a section of fence in both colors and stood back with his arms crossed like a scientist. So our test group of guests walked by, squinted, tilted their heads, and one little kid even asked if we were opening a sci-fi disco barn. Well, Winslow just sighed and muttered, well, guess brown really does work better. Well, by the end of the day, the fence was back to its proper dusty brown, but not before we'd all had a laugh at what looked like the old western version of a Miami nightclub. So there was also one time when he insisted that the souvenir shop needed a live rattlesnake in the terrarium for, as he put it, authenticity. The only problem? Well, Winslow forgot he was terrified of snakes. We didn't even get the glass case in the door before he was halfway across the parking lot yelling, it's staring at me, I can feel it. Well, needless to say, the snake went back to the place where we got it, and the shop went back to selling normal things like hats, mugs, t-shirts, and other things that don't hiss. But the one idea that stuck and actually worked is something you'll see in just a few minutes. So we'll get to that, but first let's take a look at these designs. So not only did we change the color around a little bit, but we added a little texture to the buildings. Now I've mentioned this before as I've shown you some of the designs I came up with Winslow's Park, Everhard Kingdom. And today you're going to see a little bit of that, where the buildings aren't just flat in the front. They have a little bit of texture, a little bit of depth to them. So some of them are offset a little bit from the next building over, and some of them are offset from their own design. So like this one here, you can see we're offsetting the walls just a bit. And it took a little bit of back and forth and going over designs and trying to figure out where exactly we wanted everything before we finally settled on the design. So here you can see we moved things around a little bit and just kind of changed it up a little bit. And it ends up working out in the end, as you'll finally see when we get there. But this is all part of the design process. Experiment, work with different things, shape, color, size, move things around a bit. It's kind of like photography. I've taught some people photography before, and the one rule I always come back to is, whatever you do first, it's probably wrong. Try something else. Look at it from a different angle. Stand to the side, move a few feet this way or that way. Squat down to the ground, look up at it. Get up on a ladder or a hill and look down at it. Get up close and see the details, but then step back even further and zoom out and take a look at it from afar and see if that might make the difference for you. You know, Winslow was very glad that I used that way of building because it always added something better, something new, something that could be appreciated by our average guests. And as you can see here, I'm using a little bit of forced perspective. Wow, I almost said that backwards, didn't I? Forced perspective is making everything on the ground floor either life-size or very close to it. And then you take everything above that and make it slightly smaller, usually about 3/4 to half size of normal. And what that does is it lends a theme park a little bit of that fantasy feel. Like when you go to a Disney park, I know I mention them a lot, but when you go to a big theme park like that, you'll notice that everything has a different feel to it. And why is that? Well, it's because they take things and they don't make them exactly life-size, top to bottom. And so that's what we do here. We also take those things that we use and we make them a little bit smaller as they go higher into the air. And that just lends that feeling of, this is real, but it's not quite real. And it just makes everything feel more comfortable and more like a place where you can just have fun, as opposed to being in the actual Old West, where you'd probably get run over by an out-of-control horse carriage or taken down by a local outlaw. So here we're putting in some frames on these windows, and as you can see, we're following that color palette, a little bit of faded color here and there, so not everything matches exactly perfect. And that's part of lending that authenticity to this area. So here we've got brick buildings mixed with wood, we've got light colors next to dark, and that's where you get your contrast. Contrast being very, very important to building design and theme park colors. Because contrast just shows the difference between this thing and that thing sitting right next to each other. So we'll throw in a little trim and add contrasting colors to those. Sometimes we do what's called complementary colors, which I guess qualifies as contrast, right? So color theory, in general, you want to put your opposite colors of the color wheel up against each other. And that would be like orange and blue, yellow and purple, red and green. Those are opposite colors on the color wheel. And those give you what are called complementary colors. Here in this area of the park, we're actually using what are called monochromatic. Monochromatic means we're taking some of the colors that are very close to each other on the color wheel and we're putting them all together here. And so that lends this dusty, old, authentic Western feel. So we went through a few different designs here, deciding what kind of awnings we wanted up here, and went ahead and just kept the theme very close to what we already had. So here we go, putting some wood tiles up there. And just like that, we've got some awnings on the top floor. You'll see we add some trim to the walls here, just to add a little bit of interest and add a little more texture to this. And let's just watch this design for a moment and enjoy the music. Now, the music you're listening to is music I put together, and we are going to make that all available to all of you. We're just working on a few more songs and trying to get the complete library together before we do that. You'll be able to use these songs in your parks, on your attractions, and if you would like to use them on your YouTube channels or other social media, just make sure to let us know, and we can whitelist you so you don't get in trouble with anybody and end up, losing your videos or your channel or anything like that. So here we're adding some barricades in here. Now the secret behind these is these supposedly, Frontier developers, just kind of a side note here, if it's not possible to make the walls not walk through, these help make that possible. So a little building secret for you there in Planet Coaster 2. So we add these inside the walls and kind of hide them there to make sure that hopefully guests won't walk through those things, because the entire building is on a path. Now there are ways to get around that. For example, you can always edit your paths around the walls so that there's nowhere for the guests to step. However, that does take quite a bit of time, and we're trying to make sure that you have plenty of videos to watch here in Everheart Kingdom on our Planco Playbook channel. So, if you're watching this and you're really liking this, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, because we're going to try to upload as often as possible. Right now we're going about once a week. We'd like to make that a little more often, and with your support we can do that. So, if you can add some comments, share the video with somebody, and hit those 3 buttons, that would really help us a lot. Now, we are putting a balcony up here. As you can see, we're getting the posts into place, and this again adds a little more texture to this area. And then what we're going to do a little bit later on is we'll add some decorations around the area and just make the whole thing look nice. So now that we got those in place, we got a bench here. I think we changed those out later. Like I said, there's a lot of time where you want to experiment, try different things. Don't be afraid to try different things. A lot of times the best designs come from happy accidents, where you just do something and it just looks right. And the best part is you can always change it. So never be afraid to try lots and lots of different things, because you never know what might work. Now, I've run across a lot of people who've asked questions like, what do I do? I'm stuck right here. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. Well, that's where experimentation comes in. Just do it. The worst that happens is you redesign and put in something new. And maybe by watching our videos, you can get a little bit of inspiration for what might work for you as well in your parks. Now, eventually this entire park will be ready for you in the workshop. It'll be there, completely ready for your use, and you can change anything you would like. So maybe you could use our design for your park as a starter. Maybe just change a few things around, change up the rides, build a new waterfall somewhere, or turn a restaurant into a gift shop, or a gift shop into a restaurant. You can add all kinds of different things here whenever you get to it, and we'd be happy to see those. If you have a park you'd like to share with us, just let us know. We'd like to check out your channel or your blueprints if you'd like to share those. And in all of our descriptions, there should be some share codes to all of our blueprints that we have available. Now, we can't put absolutely everything into the workshop just yet, only because some of it's a little difficult to put in there because it involves terrain and other things, and you would have to kind of figure that out, and it might make building a little bit difficult. But eventually, like I said, this entire thing will be available to you, and you'll be able to build on it however you'd like. We will also take a tour of the entire park once it's complete, and occasionally, even now, we are going to take you through certain parts of the park and ride some of the new attractions and things like that. So you'll get to experience quite a bit of it yourself here on our channel. So just keep on watching as we put this restroom here together, and we'll be back in just a moment. So as we're building this, there's another story about Winslow where he always said that the Old West wasn't just about tumbleweeds and six-shooters. It was about grit, community, and dreaming big when the odds were stacked high. As a kid, he'd sneak into the local library, not just for textbooks, but for these old dime store Western novels with covers so dramatic you could almost smell the dust. He'd read them under a desk lamp until the bulb burned out, imagining himself riding through canyons, building saloons, and setting up a town where everyone had a place to belong. Now that's the spirit he poured into this western area of the park. It wasn't just facades and wooden buildings. For Winslow, it was a living memory of those stories that shaped him. Every board and every brick out here is a way of keeping that childhood dream alive, just on a way bigger, way cooler scale. So, Winslow always had this connection to the Old West. He didn't grow up anywhere near it. I mean, he did live in the desert for some time, but he visited a lot with his grandmother in an old English town, which we talked about when we built Bramblewick Hollow in a previous video. If you check that out, you'll really like it. But, the Old West lived in his imagination. And for Winslow, it wasn't just thinking about these facades and bridges that we have here. It was about building that childhood dream, scaling up with every plank of wood, every shade of dusty brown. And the Old West wasn't just his escape. It became his blueprint for belonging. And that's what we hope for you when you come here, that you'll find a place where you belong. No matter your name, no matter where you come from, where you live, no matter what you've been through or anything else. Whatever your dreams are, that's what Everheart Kingdom is all about. So we welcome you here. You're our guest. And when you're our guest, you're our family. So always feel welcome here in Everheart Kingdom. No matter who you are, no matter where you live, you can always take a journey with us here on Planco Playbook. Now, when it comes to Winslow's philosophy, and the things that we just talked about, it was very simple, and it cut deep. You see, this park isn't just a place you visit. It's a place you feel. He used to say, rides are just steel and wood until you give them a soul. And that soul came from storytelling. Every corner of Everheart Kingdom, from Expedition Delta to Bramblewick Hollow to our western area here, it all has a story. A lamppost isn't just a lamppost. It's a beacon for travelers in Bramblewick Hollow, for example. A shop isn't just a shop. It's a dusty frontier trading post or a seaside shack where sailors swap tales, as you'll see when we eventually get to our pirate area. He believed people didn't want to just ride coasters or spin on teacups. They wanted to step into another world, even if it was just for a few hours. And Winslow had this almost stubborn optimism about it all. He never wanted the park to feel corporate, cold, or cookie cutter. To him it was sacred, a canvas of dreams, a chance to remind people that wonder wasn't just for kids. He'd tell me, if a child leaves here dreaming of flying, and their parent leaves here remembering they once dreamed of flying too, then we've done our job. That's why Everheart Kingdom blends so many themes: Western grit, whimsical fantasy, tropical adventure, and everything in between. Because life isn't one note, and neither should a park be. Winslow's guiding star was always immersion. And that is why we're here today. We're building this western area to immerse you in the Old West. We built Bramblewick Hollow to immerse you in fantasy. and we're building Expedition Delta to immerse you in adventure. It's always about build bigger, build bolder, and to pull people so far into the story that the outside world just fades, even for just a day, where you can forget everything, all your troubles, everything outside of this little world that we've created, and just enjoy life. Now, in Winslow's eyes, the park wasn't just escapism. It was a reminder that life can still hold magic if you dare to create it. So always remember that. You are welcome here. Now, if you have something you'd like to add to that, please let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts. And we'd love to hear what directions you would like to see this park go. Because as Winslow always reminded me, this park is never going to be completed, ever. Because there's always someone who has just enough imagination to continue building and to continue expanding and to continue to create things that will bring people happiness from all around the world. Now, let's get back into this build a little bit. So here we are building a little oasis here in our ranch area. I guess a western oasis of sorts. And what this is eventually going to be is we're going to open up those gates right there in the front, and we're going to put some chairs and tables and other things in there where people who just got their burgers from the nearby restaurants can come over here and have a seat and just look over the whole western area. As you can see, they'll be able to see the walkways and the waterfalls, the bridge, and off in the distance they'll be able to see our western coaster. Now back behind them, that area is going to be slightly covered up with trees and bushes and other things, just to kind of separate this area from our adventure area on the other side. So here we're adding some large trees, and we'll add some other things. And the reason for this is to kind of not only separate the areas, but to make sure that when you are in one area, that you're immersed in that area and not distracted by another. So we'll add some of these creosote bushes. We've added a couple of big oak trees, and we'll add some other plants and other things back here just to add to the western vibe and to keep this area separate. Some blackthorn and other things. So yeah, this helps keep everything kind of separate and lends to that immersion. Now on the other side here, you can see we're adding the cypress tree, which fits better into our adventure area. So we do try to make sure that areas blend one into the other as seamlessly as possible. And this fence here, of course, we put up where you can maybe peek through and see just a tiny bit of what's on the other side if you look through the fence and look through the trees. But again, this is all about immersion. So when you're building your parks, maybe keep that in mind. Immersion is key. Immersion is what makes you feel like you're in another place, another world. And it's what makes a good park a better park. So add immersion into your parks. All right. Add a few more of these in here and hopefully keep people from walking through there. I believe during testing, some of the guests ended up walking through there. So we did put some barricades there hidden to hopefully keep that from happening. And it took some time to decide what kind of signs we wanted to use and whether it was going to look right, and ended up putting some signs up here, and we kind of put some kind of themed names for now, but we'll eventually put some better names on these restaurants and restrooms and our shop over there. So we've got our mercantile, where we will have our souvenir shop on the right hand side in that little yellow shop. We've got our saloon over here, which we will turn into a restaurant. And we've got our outhouse there, of course, and that's pretty self-explanatory as to what that is. Now, the thing about these shops here and the restroom is we made sure that they were all accessible just by walking through one into the next. That way the guests don't have to walk outside of each shop in order to get to the next thing. They can just kind of seamlessly walk from one thing to the next. And of course a little bit of facade here just so we can separate the two shops from each other. So this shop that you're in now with the brick, that's going to be our burger place. And the yellow shop again is our souvenirs. Now, if you have suggestions for some of the names of these places, we'd love to hear it. So don't be afraid to share anything, any ideas that you may have, design ideas, names for things, anything that you feel like you might want to share with us. We'd be happy to hear it. Now, as you can see on some of those wider shots, these earth tones go excellent with the red rocks outside. And so that gets back into color theory. Add the colors that kind of go together. And again, if you take complementary colors such as orange and blue, yellow and purple, red and green, those tend to go together really well if you like complementary. If you like more of a monochromatic look, then you do like we're doing here, where you add the earth tones that are all kind of the same color palette, and that'll help you kind of keep a flow as well and give you a certain feel for an area. You'll see a lot of this color palette when we get back to Expedition Delta, our adventure area. And as you can see, we'll even do the same with our shelves and things just to kind of make sure that they follow that same vibe, that same continuity of color that we have in this area. There we go, keeping that rustic look all the way through. And we've already got some souvenirs on the shelves, some balloons in the back, and postcards and all kinds of great stuff for our guests. And it's crazy because, you know, once you open these shops and restaurants, immediately guests start showing up. And you may see a little bit of that later in this video where you see the guests just, as soon as we have this open, they show up. We've got our jigsaw puzzles over there, some shirts and different things here for people to purchase. And eventually we'll add a little more decor in here as well. Today we'll keep it relatively simple. There's some umbrellas for our guests in case the sun's a little too bright or if we get rain. But we'll add some lighting into here and do some different things. But later on we'll add a lot more decor in these buildings, and we'll make sure that you get to see that when that happens. And of course, we'll put some lights outside as well. And we kind of went back and forth as to where those lights should go. And we came to the conclusion that it would be best to put that right up above the door there. And then, of course, we'll add other ambient light. Now, you've heard me many times in videos before, and I'll mention it again for the new people. We tend to use very dim lighting, very atmospheric lighting. Some people, when they build their parks, like to be like their parks to be very brightly lit. We think a little differently. We kind of like the idea of things being a little more dim, a little more atmospheric, and a little more immersive. So there's no real right way or wrong way necessarily, because you can make your park any way you wish. But if you look at ours, we tend to go a little bit dimmer light. And so maybe that'll help you if you want a little more of the immersive feel in your parks that you design. And we'll put a few of those up there. A couple on the countertop here. And then we'll add some over here as well. Hang from the ceiling. And look at that, a nice softly lit little shop there. With a few lanterns around, nice warm light. And we do like to use the warm light as often as possible, not just indoors but outdoors, except where we use a little more color and things like that. But the warmer light just feels more welcoming, and so we like to use that a lot more. And then, of course, we take our fixtures and we try to match those up a little bit to the scenery, the building parts and everything nearby, so that the lights aren't too obtrusive. They just kind of blend in with everything, and that, you know, kind of helps with the immersion. So, of course, adding a little ambient light there and getting those out of guest view. And that just adds to the texture of the building, of course. And then we have these nice little light hooks, and we'll put some oil lamps on those. And we try not to use the exact same light on everything, but sometimes, you know, just depending on the area, you might need to repeat certain types of lighting just because, well, we don't always have the fixtures that we would like to have, or maybe the fixtures that are available don't quite fit what we're looking for, and so we'll use a little bit of repetitive light, and that's okay too. But here you can see we try to vary it a bit and give each building its own little unique look. So we have these kind of plain looking counters here for our burger shop, and we're going to go ahead and make those look a little bit better. We considered putting tables inside of here, but the space is a little bit small, and it is only casual dining, and so that's what the little ranch area that we showed you earlier is going to be for. We're going to put some seating out there, some chairs and tables and other things where guests can take their food and go have a seat over there and just enjoy their lunch. And here we again experimented with a couple of different things before we decided on going with these here and just making those into countertops, and a little ledge at the bottom there where when you step up, put your feet up. A little bit of underlighting there. And we're kind of going back and forth on this too. What do we put here that has our color scheme in it that won't look too off? And then we remembered we have a few things that were in the warehouses, but before we get to that, we wanted to put up an awning here just to add a little bit of texture on the inside, a little bit of extra decor. And as you can see, before we were even finished designing, we already had guests coming in to order food. So we're glad we got this restaurant into place. Now, if you missed it, we have our other big restaurant sitting right across and next to the queue area of our mine train attraction. So if you missed that video, make sure to go check that out. And don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to click on that bell notification and turn those on so you don't miss any of our new videos. The more people we have watching, and the more people that share our videos and help us get the engagement that we need, the sooner we can start uploading much more often, which we'd love to do. So help us out if you can, and it doesn't cost you anything. Even admission to our Everheart Kingdom here is free for now. So don't forget to help us out a little bit if you could, if you would like to. We really, really appreciate it. And for those of you who are already following, thank you so much. We appreciate every single one of you. And even those who are not yet following, we appreciate you too, just for stopping by today and taking a look at our park. So here we're just kind of putting up a little bit of decor just to kind of get things started. And eventually, like I said, we'll order a lot. We'll order more things from our warehouse and from our designers and get some things in here. And you can hear I use the word order a couple of times. It's because I had the word order in mind right there as we were putting up our sign for our countertop there. So we'll get some more things put into place and really get this place built out. So again, we thought about experimenting with tables and chairs and things, but it was just not big enough in there. So we continued on just leaving it empty for the moment with just a few more decorations in place. And you'll see as we get those here right now. Now, none of the food there is edible. That's all there just for show. And we ended up expanding that a little bit, making it a little bit bigger because our props were a little bit bigger than we anticipated. And so rather than rebuilding those props, we just extended the table a little bit. So a little more of the Western vibe there. And you'll see we add much more later on in another video in the future. Add a few bins, of course, because we don't want our park getting all messy with people tossing their stuff on the streets. We do have some janitors in our park, custodians, and they go around and take care of things. But we always like to make sure there are plenty of bins for everybody. And I don't know why King Coaster went in there. He can't order food. He's an employee, but he decided, I guess, maybe to go in and say hello to his fellow coworkers over there. All right, we got our lights all lined up here for the outhouse and blended in nicely with the scenery, and some more outdoor lighting here. Here comes some more decor in the restroom area. And we put up a countertop and everything in here just to kind of make it look nice. So you'll see that in just a couple of minutes. We use some of these old pieces of train track to kind of add to the vibe here and to create a nice little transition from one shop into another. And we'll add more trim and other things along the walls on the inside eventually as well. So we'll make sure to put that in a video if we can, and just kind of depends on our scheduling and getting more things done for you, because we still have a long way to go. We have more things to do with our mine train. We have things to do in Expedition Delta. We even have another big attraction going into Bramblewick Hollow. As some of you know, the new sorcery packs just came out recently, and so we want to make good use of those, and we will very, very soon. So stay tuned, because we want to include you in that journey as we get into that sorcery pack and put that to use. Now, when we release our entire park to everybody, we're going to make sure to find a way to include all of our music that you're hearing in all of our videos. We have different music that we'll use in different videos. Some of them are pretty standard and we'll use those in every video. Other ones are very specific to specific areas. So right now I think we have 21 songs in our library. We're hoping to have about 35 or so by the time we're done to fit pretty much any area of any park you might build. And so we'll make sure that you get a hold of those at some point as well. So if you like those songs, let us know, and we'll make sure to preview as many of them as possible here on our videos, on our channel here on Planco Playbook. So we've got a nice countertop there, and we are going to put a little bit of decoration on there. So enjoy the music and watch for a little while. Alright, so there's a good look at this area at night, and we may do something about that floor a little bit later to maybe take out those tiles and put something else in there instead. Now over here we wanted to make sure that this area looked better, so we thought about putting some plants in there, but then remembered we're going to put tables and chairs and other things for our guests to sit, so we left that empty. And over here we're going to put some dividers between the horse stalls. The designs took a little time, but we eventually settled on what you'll see in the end here. And of course, no area is complete without a little bit of lighting, so we put some of that in. For now, it'll just be ambient lighting because we don't have anything there for our guests just yet. It's not ready for them, but eventually we'll take out this lighting and replace it with other lighting where our guests can enjoy the area as a seating area. But for now, this will just add a little bit of interest to the area and just make it look a little more colorful and add to that old Western vibe. Okay, and here come in the street lamps, and we had to get those there to give the walkway a little bit of light. And that, of course, adds to the texture and the warmth of the area, highlighting the rocks a little bit, and allowing people to see without stumbling all over down the walkway. And over here, we wanted to add a little bit of light to these trees, just so that they won't be these dark shapes at night. They'll have a little bit of light on them and just something to kind of brighten up the area a little bit. And there you go, nice and warm over there. And some more lighting back here on our big oak tree, as that's going to be the backdrop of that seating area once we get it open. So here you go, a little bit of a look at our Wild Canyon Western area. Kind of a walk down the walkway there. A couple of different views. And in just a moment, we'll take a look at the entire area at regular speed so you can see those and get a good look. But here we're going to light up our mountain a bit because it was just really dark over there, and we want to make sure people can see it from a distance at night. So we'll highlight these big bright rocks with a nice warm color and make sure the light kind of rakes the rock as it goes up, adding to the texture and making sure that it's not just a bright red-orange object in the distance. Making sure the shadows are there and the texture of the rock shows from everywhere that it can be seen. And so not every single part of the mountain needs to be lit up. So we were kind of picky about where all of our lights went and exactly what parts of the mountain were lit up. So you'll see that we do skip over some areas and highlight others just to kind of, show that the mountain is there, but we don't want to make it to where it's like the centerpiece or the focal point of the entire park. And some of our street lights will light up the edges of the rock there down closer to the ground. We're considering putting a waterfall on the lower part of the mountain there, and that may happen a little bit later on. But for now, here we are just lighting up certain areas. We'll add more lighting throughout the actual mine train coaster later, and we'll show you that at some point as well. We are considering putting in a big waterfall right there on the side into that little lake at the bottom, that little pond, because we have plans for the grass area that was next to that, the big grass area overlooking that pond. We'll reveal those plans a little bit later on. So here, just getting the last few lights into place to highlight the mountain itself. And there we go, a nice look at that. A few more street lamps down here along our walkway, because it was pretty dark there. We don't have anything down the pathway just yet to the right of your screen. We do have a small area that we've been working on as a concept leading into the next area back there. We'll reveal that in a future video. And you can kind of see the walkway changes over in that area, and that's where a new area will begin later on as we get that area developed. So we get a few lampposts here to light up our walkway. Take a look at it at night in regular speed, and then you can kind of get a good look at this whole area and how it's changed over time. Well, that lamp needs to be fixed. I'll let our crew know about that. They'll go out and fix that lamp. But there you go, a nice look as the train goes by on our mine coaster. And a nice look from under the bridge. That's our sight line there as you come in under the bridge into our western area. And here a nice walkway leading over to the mountain. So this is what you will see as a guest in the park as you enter this area. Look at that. What a sight line. And so just enough light to highlight our mountain. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you go to build your parks, I just want you to remember, as always, the words of Winslow Everhart. I remind you every video, and I'm reminding you again today. Build bigger, build bolder, and may your dreams become your reality. We'll see you all in the next episode of Plan Co. Playbook.